I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we've got two batches of meeting minutes to accept. Has everybody had a chance to go through them?
Yes.
What's your pleasure?
I'd make a motion to accept the minutes of 12/18/23. Can I do them both with this?
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
And 1/8/24, meeting of the zoning board of adjustment is written.
So I wasn't present at the 18th. Can I still vote on those minutes?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
You've read them. And,
I read them, man.
do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those meetings are adopted. First order of business is the special exception, a non-conformity request. We have a bit, this is the one where...
No,
No,
so it would be
second
the
one.
equitable
Okay.
waiver, the
Very
second
good.
part, but maybe you want to let the applicants of the equitable
Right.
waiver know the situation.
Yeah, right now, what we've got is 3 people on the board that are voting members. You're entitled to 5. If you want, we can postpone it to a date specific, and that way you get a chance. What happens is with the, with just 3 members on, if you've got 1 no vote, it's got to be 3 affirmative votes in order to pass the
But
motion.
he can't vote.
This one he can.
This one I can't.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
but on
sorry.
the equitable waivers, you can't.
He can't.
On
So
Part B.
I'm just throwing it out there. Who's the, yeah, okay. Is this for Chinburg or?
No, we're the second application.
Yeah, that's fine. This is the first application.
Right.
The,
What I'm trying to say, Bob, though, is you might want to let Chimberg know that we only have 2 members that can vote on the equitable waiver tonight.
Yep.
So they can present, but we can't vote on it.
okay. Did you understand that? All right. What are your wishes? We can't vote on it.
It seems, sorry, Kevin Baum, attorney for Chimberg. I think if the option is to continue, I think that makes the most sense because you can't vote tonight and that would avoid having to present again.
Yep.
In another month.
Okay. So first order of business. There will be a public hearing for an application for a special exemption from section 32-5 2A nonconformity requested by Lori A. Dion Revocable Trust to permit the horizontal expansion of a new garage by 2 feet, which will maintain the setback of the current garage. The side setback is in the M2 zone is 10 feet, and the current garage has a setback of 2 feet plus or minus. The lot is located at 23 Exeter Road, tax map U3, lot 35, M2 zone. Lori,
I'll be representing Lori.
have at it. Check the website for the time, the exact date.
So just before anybody leaves, our next meeting is scheduled for March 11th.
And just for the clarity, sake of the record, so the Chimberg application is continued to the March 11th.
It will be formally.
Okay, thank you. Clear out the room for you.
Paul from Newmarket Plains, Paul LeBeau. I'm representing Lori Dion. What we've got here, this is the existing house, and this is an existing garage. It's hard to tell from the picture, but this is quite steep bank in the back. The garage is over 100 years old, and when it was built, the back foundation wall is granite. It's about 12 feet tall. It's actually supporting the back side of the garage. over time, it's moving, and the building is becoming unstable. So it needs to be torn down and rebuilt. And what we want to do, instead of putting it into the banking again, is we want to pull it forward 6 feet. That way the hill in the back will be stabilized, and it'll be totally independent of the hill. So what the special exception is we're still only plus or minus 2 feet on the side setback. So we'll be maintaining that. We will be coming forward 6 feet, and we're still well within the front setbacks. So that's what we're looking to do. The new building will basically, it'll be the same footprint. It will not be any taller. The only difference is we'll be putting an accessory dwelling unit above it, and there'll be a covered walkway between the two. But otherwise, the dimensions will be the same.
Are there any people here that want to speak to it? Everybody's been notified.
Yes.
Just step up. I'll open up the public session at this time. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Janelle Zarba, and I am at 25 Exeter Road.
Yep.
The abutting property to this one. I brought a letter that I wrote along with photos and
Thank you.
site sketch, which is some of the concerns I have about it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm just sitting down in the corner.
Okay, got it now.
Is the
I think that's
site plan?
Yeah.
Let's see what we got.
This is the road here.
Yes, you have the road here, the existing structure, and then the garage structure here, and then 25, that's where I am. So we're pretty close on the lot line there. I had a number of concerns about it that I wanted to have addressed with the proposal. So, just to run through them. So the first one, pertaining to the zoning ordinance, impacting abutters. The biggest concern I have as far as impacting the abutters, if you flip to the site plan I have on there, it's the first page of the photos, and then I have 2 site sketches, existing and the proposed. So the whole building is moving 6 feet forward.
I'm sorry, I need to, where are you? You said 1, 2?
Yeah, so that's the letter.
Yeah,
So this page of photos right here,
yep,
and then on the next section here.
I got you, thank you so
So if you
much.
flip that over.
Gotcha, thank you.
So what I did, so I have building plans of my structure. So the important piece here, so that first page is showing the, the existing building, where it's in my building. So it's covering there's a 1-bedroom unit down there. That's their bedroom in the back. That is the single window into that bedroom. So right now, the building's covering that window by 1'8", and it leaves about 1'2" uncovered, so they are accessing natural light, natural air, things like that. With the proposed moving the whole structure 6 feet forward, they're gonna move their building 4'7" past that window. So in the first photo on there, I marked out on the building, I taped off where their existing line is meeting in front of the window, and then where the building's gonna come beyond it. And then I just shaded in, like you can see, I just measured out, and it's rough measurement, but I shaded in, so that top right picture is in front of the window of that unit, looking, what would be outed, essentially. So they're going from having natural light, natural air, to having a wall directly in front of them.
What's the separation between the buildings?
There's 6'6" between the buildings.
Wow.
So The site plan too, so that's one thing, and the proposal, they're talking about 2 feet plus or minus, but in the site plan, they actually show 1'6". So their building is 1'6" off of the lot line, 6 between the buildings right there, so I'm about 5 feet off of my lot line. It's really tight. So the major concern for that unit is that that's the only window in that unit. Because of the hill, I can't add windows anywhere in there. So you're essentially just putting this unit in the dark. And then to complicate that, when the building moves forward, let's see. The proposal for the building on the elevations here was a metal roof on the building. So that structure got a new roof in about 2017 or 18. The previous owners put a metal roof on the building, and it started to shoot snow off of it, and it hits my building, it lands on my deck, and it hits the structure underneath it. So that's the second page of photos. So it's already damaged the lattice work underneath. There's a section of lattice that just ripped right off, and you can kind of see where the lattice is starting to go underneath the deck from the snow slide. And so my concern is that we move this building 6 feet forward. It's now going to be hitting that window, and I'm concerned it's going to break the window because it's breaking the lattice. So that's a safety hazard concern that I have about that. I think that's an easy remedy, maybe not metal roof. It could have a mix or something. Something needs to change with that because it's definitely a hazard. The second point that I wanted to bring up, I'm going to pull up your elevation here. So, in addition to the zoning ordinance, it also has to meet building code. So, New Hampshire follows IRC 2018, and section 302 of that is fire resistant construction. As this building is designed, it's not meeting, do you have the side elevations?
I do not.
Okay. Did you guys get those side elevations? It was in the...
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, the original submittal.
it's in their packet.
Okay, all right. So there's a few issues that I wanted to bring up because I have concerns about the fire safety with this. Because it's not just moving a garage 6 feet forward, it's a use change. We're changing it from a garage to a garage with accessory dwelling unit above it. So the points that it's not meeting with that section is walls located within 5 feet or less are required to have a 1 hour fire rating on both sides. That wasn't depicted in the plans. It has notes about, fire rating because it's a garage with a dwelling above it, but it doesn't say anything about that fire rating, which is very important. And then projections on a building, so things like soffits, awnings. If a building is less than 2 feet, which the site plan is showing 1'6", projections aren't allowed. So the soffit, I think the building looks nice, but these soffit projections don't meet fire code. So that's something that has to be addressed. And then lastly, which would be on your packet, the original packet of the elevations, are wall openings. So any wall opening within 3 feet or less of a lot line cannot have wall openings. So there's 7 windows proposed on that side of the building.
Would you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so the section 302 pertaining to wall openings, so like windows and doors in a building, any interior wall located 3 feet or less from their lot line cannot have openings. So the way that the current plan is configured, so there's 3 on the lower level, and then I think there was 4 up top.
That's what we're seeing here.
There's 4 here. So we have 7 total along that wall. And I just wanted to...
Are those existing windows, or?
Well, the whole building's being taken down
Oh,
and
okay.
moving. They're taking down the entire structure and the foundation. keeping the footprint size and moving that footprint 6 feet forward. The current structure does have 2 windows on that wall. I mean, if you wanna look at that, but. So I had concerns about the design with that. I do have 3 units in my building. We're not proposing a garage with a dwelling unit above it. I think it's important to address the design related to the fire code there. And then, moving on from that, just the use change of the structure. So changing it to an accessory dwelling unit. I know this is new for the zoning. But going through that, the couple concerns I had about that was there's no proposed parking here. And according to, the zoning that they've set up for the detached accessory dwelling units, it's supposed to have, a 20-foot buffer between the parking and the adjacent building. Can be brought down to 10. And then, or exist, if there's an existing parking area, it can, work with that. But currently, and I included some just like Google photos on the next page, because this is a single family structure. Typically the cars are parking on the left side of the driveway, closer to the primary dwelling unit of 23 and away from the building on 25. So my concern is that they're now going to have an increased parking load on this site, and it's going to be putting the cars, like, not only are you putting a wall right in front of that window, but then now you're putting cars right in front of it, and you're supposed to provide either a landscape or fencing buffer between that parking and the unit, or the structure. But because of the proximity of the 2 buildings, I would strongly wish that there isn't a fence, because I'd like that unit to maintain some natural sunlight. And then also, I'm concerned that landscaping buffer, one, there's a ton of water and moisture issues between the 2 buildings, and I have photos of that. So the landscaping is just going to increase that. And then also, we use the walkway along our building. We have storage for the tenants underneath the deck, just for like kayaks and things like that. But now we're going to have, like, what kind of landscaping is it? And are we going to have to maintain their landscaping so we have access? So I would like to see a detailed parking plan, and also the increased need for snow removal. Because there's a lot of water issues along this side of the building, I am concerned about where that snow is going to be put. Because previously, they just plow the left side of the driveway, and that was that. So that's my concerns around the accessory dwelling unit. And then, so the other major concern I have, if you flip it's on this site plan sketch that I provided, and also the next page of the photos, is the rear retaining wall, which is left off the site plan. So at the back of this building, there's a retaining wall that comes out directly off the back corner and extends down between the 2 buildings 20 feet. And dropping a tape down, we've got snowpack, so I'm not sure of the true height of it. The fellow here, EPP, did say, their retaining wall for the foundation is 12 feet. And, when I dropped a tape, it's at 8 feet in the back. So it's a pretty substantial retaining wall. I'd like to see that added to the plan, because the wall was built for the benefit of the garage structure. You can see that in the photos. It comes perpendicular. It ties into the rear foundation and then runs parallel to it, and it allows for the siding to continue down and to have a window on that side. The issue is the wall is built. It violates the property line, so it's not on their property. It's parts of it are, but it's on the adjacent property as well. So I have concerns about, so at the narrowest point from the new foundation wall to that granite block retaining wall is 12 inches. Where the new corner of the foundation, their foundation, is being proposed, it's about 16 inches. So when you take a 16-inch, you you've got 16 inches, and then you come out with a footing, you're left with a foot maybe, and you're excavating 4 feet down for that footing. How are we not undermining that retaining wall? And the other thing that was left off the site plan is I have a deck, which is on the site sketch I provided you guys. So I have concerns that what happens with this wall during construction? How is it not undermined? How is the land not destabilized? How is the whole thing addressed? So I think it is significant to include it and to include a plan for that. Personally, I'd like to see the wall moved onto their property. It's for the benefit of their property. It's significant portions of it are on my property, and I have concerns like who maintains this, because it is failing, and it's been completely left out of their plan. And if that starts to fail, at what point do I lose my deck? I've got trees up there. There's a retaining wall behind us. It's a very steep, complicated site. So I feel like it does need to be addressed. I appreciate you bearing with all this.
Have you discussed this with Mr. LeBeau and the property owner?
No, this is the first I've heard of any of this.
Yeah. And the application was the first I heard of it, so.
You haven't reached out to the property owner? Oh, this is the first you've seen it, never mind.
Yeah,
I
no, I got
apologize.
notified for public meetings, so. And I think they're all addressable concerns. I just think that they should be addressed. Because there is the potential for failure and for causing harm to my structure and the site conditions. I mean, the other issue we have here is that, the water issues. So, because there's only 6'6" and we have this steep hill between us, and there's snow's coming off the roof, there's a lot of water buildup there. Both structures are failing from it. Their garage structure has considerable rot on that side. I have mildew and rot on my building as well. But there's no plan that addresses the water mitigation. With the proposed structure, I had an engineer out. I included the letter in the packet. He just assessed the conditions between our structures, the water issues, and suggestions for going forward. He mostly was contacting the engineer and having them address the water issues with this. And then, so I know in the application it was saying that there's no possible way to present this, to rebuild this structure and do what they want to do without moving it 6 feet forward. But I think there are feasible alternatives. Currently that rear wall, he did speak about the wall is pushing forward, so what happens when you move it forward 6 feet? That wall's still pushing forward, so the wall has to be addressed in this project. And currently, there's, like this area behind the house, that flattens out. There's a door back there. I have photos of that in here as well. Their deck could be located in that flat area. There's nothing preventing that. It's just they're required to deal with their site conditions to do so. The other thing too is going back to the fire safety issues. Like you can't have soffits on the side of the building. You can't have windows on the side of that building. You're covering the window next to my building. We only have 6'5" between us, but there's 13.6 on this side of the structure. The grading in this area flattens out. The previous owners had terraced that. They did like a garden sort of space and then a patio. There is room to move this building. It can move closer to the structure. It can move, it can go forward and closer. But I think it's reasonable to consider that they're taking out the whole structure and the foundation. So it's not a situation where they're saving a foundation and trying to work with an existing condition. So I think there are alternatives that can address these issues. And then I was just concerned that the project itself was misrepresented in the notice. You know, saying it's the side setback is 2 feet when it's 1'6", which is considerable with zoning and building code. It also described that the building is expanding 2 feet forward, which we know is the whole thing is moving forward 6 feet. And then it lists their rear setback in the application as 6 feet. It's approximately 22'8". So it was just a lot of these things that weren't accurate in the notification.
I also found the notification confusing.
Yeah.
I did myself as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's concerning, I know, and so the reason I bring it up is that our neighbor in the back, so the property owner there, she's 103. So like, if she gets this notice and the front of the building's moving 2 feet, she's not gonna care, and really, you know, she's passing this off to her son who helps her around the house, but they're,
And John's a professional engineer, and I know John well.
oh, do you? Yeah, so it just, to me, I mean, that's an aside, I just feel like we should do things the right way, I don't know, so. But, and just to wrap up, I think I'd like to see that the plans, especially the site plan, reflect the accurate conditions. I'd like to see the retaining wall on there. I don't know why this plan has so much detail over here, and then there's no grading between the buildings in the area of concern. I'd like to see the grading and the retaining wall and how that's addressed in the proposed project. I'd like to see that the building placement avoid blocking the window for that unit downstairs. That is the only window in that bedroom and in that unit. I think that's a significant hard, detriment to that unit. I would definitely like to see the project meet fire-resistant construction. That's important. And then with that site plan, showing the parking, showing where snow is being located, water mitigation, I think that's really important too. So that's all of it. I'm sorry, it was a lot.
Mr. LeBeau, have you had a chance to look at this? Do you have any comments?
A lot of the things are safety issues fire issues that Dan will address in the permitting process. These are just conceptual plans at this point. These aren't construction plans. The metal roof will be reused, and we have talked about putting snow and ice guards up there for that very reason, so it doesn't hit their house. The fire code between the buildings, that will be addressed in the building plans. Snow and water removal, the building's there now, nothing's gonna change. If I remember correctly, between the two buildings, there's a sub pump pumping out of their building between the buildings, running down the driveway. And as far as the foundation goes, what we were gonna do is we were gonna take it down, and we don't anticipate digging down 4 feet because that's all ledge. When we get the building down, we were gonna have an engineer come in and do some testing, some drilling, and see if we could pin it to the ledge and exactly what we were gonna do. The original thought was, let's jack this building up and save it. And we decided that just wasn't a safe alternative. We were concerned there wasn't enough room to get equipment in there. And there's the same thing right now with the building there. We can't get equipment in there and do this testing. So I think what we're proposing is the safest alternative. The windows, again, the windows that I've got on the side, they're all high awning windows just for light for these units. And again, that really, I don't think that has anything to do with this phase. That's all part of the building permitting. And Dan also told me that maybe you could address it better, that we're also going to have to take this before the planning board now for minor site review because of the things that have changed. So the aesthetics of the building will come into play at that point.
I guess what concerns me is one of the things we've got to look at is the impact on the property owner, your butter, and shutting off some of the light and airflow in there,
Mhm,
that can be a problem. I mean, their projects have been stopped because of that.
mhm.
And is there anything you can do to address that? I mean, moving the building over, more detail, that could probably help, but why does the building have to be that close? You've got 14 feet between. Wouldn't it make sense to move it over?
We hadn't talked about that. There's this huge tree here that would have to come down. The driveway would have to be reconfigured. Those are just options we haven't talked about.
That's the thing we've got to do, is we sit here and we have to weigh the benefit to the property owner and weigh the benefits or the impacts on the abutters. And I think there's enough there in this to warrant a closer look about how construction's going to be phased to protect the abutter, what it's going to do to the line of sight that she's got for that apartment, and those are negative impacts. Most of the other engineering ones can actually be seen as improvements at some point. A proper retaining wall there would go a long way to protect property. I think some of those things probably need to be addressed.
Can I ask a question? The reason for moving it forward 6 feet is what, again?
To get it away from the wall.
It's a ledge.
It's partly ledge, but right now it's granite block. It's built into the hill.
So why don't you remove that and leave it where, and push it back?
What do you mean?
The reason you have to bring it forward is to put in the new foundation. Is that correct?
We were trying to just get it independent of the hill
Why?
so that this doesn't happen down the road. We wanted to stabilize the hill. It was going to be done with those big cement retaining blocks that you see. And then what I was trying to do was maintain the space between the new retaining wall and the building itself, so they actually weren't in contact with each other anymore.
So can the retaining wall be moved back?
I don't know. I can't answer that.
I mean, I would think that
I'm
would,
not an engineer. You mean built further back into the...
Side of the hill.
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, that's,
You probably have to blow up some of the granite, right?
I don't know, but, I mean, that's, just my that's the first thing I'd look at, is it would solve,
What would happen is it would get steeper. I mean, it's a pretty steep hill.
yeah, I'm just asking.
I do have photos in there of that. I mean, behind that structure, it flattens out. It goes up again, it flattens out a little bit. So it's a steep hill, but it's not, there's room for that wall to back up before it's getting into another grade.
I guess that would be the first question I would ask.
Okay.
A lot of the decisions are about alternatives. And I agree with you that fire safety issues would have to be compliant anyway, so Dave would take care of that.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I understand fire safety is reviewed, with the building and fire departments, but the soffits aren't allowed, so as far as in zoning, part of what you're doing is looking at, what does that structure look like, but if we're just chopping off the soffits, all of, like the architectural details taken off that, super minor, but it just seemed like it should be presented the way, like if it's gonna have to be changed down the road, is it kicking back to you guys to say, okay, this is what it looks like now?
The fire department and
So-
Dave.
Yeah, so the building permit process is separate from the request for a special exception.
Right, but so you would, it should be denied having soffit, which would take away the architectural detail, which is part of the review of zoning.
The architectural detail would come under planning board review.
Okay,
They're the ones that would worry about what it looks like.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright, very well.
All right, when we close the public input period here, if you've got questions, feel free to ask.
Just seems to me there's a lot of preliminary that could take place, both between
And
abutters and as I went down the list, I think there's 7 things that were discussed, and some of those are gonna be taken care of, like fire and life safety matters that have to comply. But I'd like to see some further investigation done on an
yeah,
alternative
I've got the criteria.
that would preclude, I understand, I mean, it's what happens in an old town, you end up with some odd kind of spaces.
Yeah,
But
and I appreciate that. It just seems that we've got 6'6" between our two buildings and 13'6" on the other side. I feel like there's a middle ground somewhere. I mean, I don't expect to say, you have to move the building 10 feet to meet zoning and now you have 3 feet between your structure. I'm not asking that, but I think there's a happy medium somewhere where my tenants can still enjoy, quality in their apartment and mitigate some of these other issues.
And perhaps between you folks and Dave, which Dave's here to help, that's he's not here to turn things down, he's here to help work through alternatives, and perhaps a meeting with you, 3 of you would be productive. I don't feel any animosity or anything here.
No.
That's what I was looking for. I did find that, but that's,
Great presentation, by the way.
but have you gone through all the 6 criteria for special exception?
Do you want me to, or
Well-
at this point?
Well, it's up to you. Do you want to, withdraw the application, rework some things, discuss it with the abutter?
Yes, I'm gonna withdraw it at this point.
That makes it easy on all of us.
Yeah.
I think there's some good points. I think you guys can reach some middle ground someplace.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I couldn't find that.
So James found it.
It was in the very back.
In the very, very back. I don't have it. Oh, there it is, right here. It was shuffled in with the Chinberg stuff. That's fine. Shuffled it in.
Well, here's what I did, is that everything I printed on a 13 by 11, I went through and did only 8 by 11s, and then printed out those separate, and then combined it.
What?
I think it's a restroom.
Oh,
That's my assumption.
All right.
I'm sorry.
the next thing to do would be to just announce that we're continuing this
Yes.
to
Correct.
the 11th.
As soon as Al gets here.
Yeah.
It's still Newmarket. Yeah.
is to, uh, um, um, does it not postpone, but to,
So he withdrew, so we don't,
pardon?
so he withdrew, so we don't have to do anything, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Okay.
So now it's on.
And what we have to do now is we have to move, I'm forgetting what, I'm trying to figure out what the term I want to use.
Continue.
Continue the application for equitable waiver for the Chinburg parcels to the next meeting, which is the, what do we say though?
So, but-
March 11th
March 11th.
at 7 PM in Chambers.
and was there some concern about time frame?
Yeah, so there's a concern, that they have, by state law, we have 90 days
Right,
to make a decision on their application. I had it in the packet in my staff report, and I believe it is the 16th of March is that 90 day.
oh, okay,
So,
so we're okay.
March 17th is the 90 day deadline. So if we hear this on the 11th, we're still within that time frame, but the board's gonna have to make a decision.
What happens if there's not enough people here?
Hope that doesn't come to
No,
that,
I'm s-
but that is a question I'm gonna have to run by
Okay.
John Madigan,
Okay,
our town council.
Believe the way I understood it is if we can't come to a decision, it's approved.
Interesting.
So it's like tie goes to the runner?
I'll have to, I'll
This
ask,
this is New Hampshire, it's a property rights
Sure,
state.
yeah.
I
Yep.
think
Yeah.
that's right.
but I'll ask John about that, and I'll look through the RSA's again to see.
Could be wrong, it would be the first time I'm wrong.
it would be?
It wouldn't be.
Oh, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't be, there's a long line of people that'll tell you. Okay,
So we have a motion, anybody second it?
Wait, what was the
Oh,
motion?
who made it?
Who made what?
The motion.
I'll move to continue the meeting to,
Oh.
what is it, March 11th?
yes.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
make the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Cruising us right along.
Yes.
Let's go.
Any old business?
I don't believe I have anything.
Any new business?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm just wondering if there's anything that we can do to avoid what almost happened tonight. Is there anything we can do differently? Could we get a yes or no, instead of, I don't know, I'm just,
Yeah.
I think this is the best thing for that.
I do
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when things are publicly noticed and we have to be here, if members don't show up, there's really nothing.
No, I know that, but
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of anything disciplinary.
Right,
I'm just thinking,
How can we get
yeah,
people to actually show up when they're supposed
I
to?
mean,
I
if,
say we don't pay them.
I think we just pay them less.
No lollipop.
Dave, I don't know.
No,
I mean, there's something, I don't know how to articulate it, but there's something, when this Chinburg folks, well, they're all important.
right.
But
No,
when you delay a meeting because there isn't, and then you do it again,
it's not a good look.
can we say, no, well, I'm reaching it out of my butt here, but can we say this is a critical meeting, we now have put this off for
You have
two,
to be here.
we have to make a decision by,
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely, in my next communication to the
Okay.
board about the next meeting, I
Yeah.
can definitely stress that.
as Bob says, just don't pay me.
Simple as that.
Or we could put up a figurine here, you know, one of those blow-up dolls or something.
Okay. Anything else?
I guess motion to adjourn is in order.
so moved?
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's kill the lights.